OMG 2011, what a year for marriage equality. We're still not ready to get married yet, but we are so close. Think about where we were a year ago. So much has happened. Hi, I'm Matt Baum, and let's do a quick year in review to see where we've come in 2011 and where we're going to win big in 2012. There were 5 major trends this year. 1. Multiple polls that show majority support the freedom to marry, and that includes a lot of Republicans. 2. Lots of action around civil unions. 3. Big shakeups at statewide equality organizations. 4. International progress that sometimes outpaced the US. And 5. Laying the groundwork for big victories in 2012. Let's dive in. January. Republican Committee Head Michael Steele tells the National Organization for Marriage that he supports them 100%, and within a month, he's out of a job. The Ninth Circuit punts the Prop 8 case to the California Supreme Court, which will eventually issue a ruling 10 months later. Rhode Island and Maryland introduce marriage bills, both of which eventually fail, and New Hampshire Republicans decide they won't fight marriage equality this year. The Department of Justice is still defending DOMA, even as an additional lawsuit is filed against the anti-marriage ban. February. Big advances for civil unions. Hawaii passes a civil unions bill 11-2, and the Illinois governor signs a civil unions bill into law. Washington State introduces a marriage bill that eventually flops, but is now on its way back for 2012. Maryland's marriage bill passes the House, and the Indiana House passes a bill to ban marriage and civil unions. The Department of Justice reverses course and says that DOMA is unconstitutional, and Dianne Feinstein introduces a DOMA repeal bill. March. Colorado's Senate passes a civil unions bill, and Wyoming defeats a bill that would constrain recognition of LGBT couples. Maine orders NOM to disclose donors. Maryland lawmakers reject a marriage equality bill. April. Following the failure of the marriage bill in Maryland, Equality Maryland fires its executive director. Anti-gay bills die in Illinois and Iowa, while Delaware's civil unions bill passes the Senate and House. Colorado Republicans kill a civil unions bill. Grainy snippets of the Prop 8 trial are broadcast on C-SPAN. For the 4th time, a national survey shows majority support for marriage equality, but House Speaker John Boehner doubles down and hires Paul Clement to defend DOMA. May. A 5th national survey shows majority support for marriage equality. Paul Clement and his law firm separate over DOMA disagreement. Anti-gay groups attack the judge in the Prop 8 case after he confirms that he's gay, but their arguments sound at best homophobic and at worst crazy. A marriage bill goes down in flames in Rhode Island, but another pops up in New York. Times are tough for civil unions in Wisconsin, where Governor Scott Walker attempts to dismantle the state's domestic partnership registry. But times are better in Delaware with the signing of a new civil unions law. Attorney General Eric Holder orders the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization to revisit whether civil unions can be considered for naturalization petitions. Big international advances. Brazil's Supreme Court rules unanimously for civil unions, and the Scottish National Party wins big with a vow to consult with constituents on the legalization of marriage. Equality Maryland's turmoil continues. Now they're nearly out of money. Equality North Carolina's executive director resigns. June. Scott Walker's attempts to derail domestic partnerships in Wisconsin are dealt a legal setback. Civil unions start in Illinois. Target refuses to reform its policy of donating to anti-gay politicians. More big international news. Liechtenstein voters approve civil unions. French lawmakers reject marriage equality. And the anti-gay Prime Minister of Australia auctions off 6 dinner invitations for charity, but is startled when all 6 are snatched up by LGBT couples. To date, she has still refused to honor those invitations. Marriage equality passes in New York, more than doubling the number of LGBTs who can have their marriages recognized by their state. The number of LGBTs whose marriages are recognized by their country is still 0. July. Equality Maryland gets its act together and releases a plan to pass a marriage bill in 2012. Other states will soon follow with 2012 plans of their own, only some of which include marriage. Rhode Island signs its new civil unions bill into law. The American Medical Association endorses marriage equality, while lawmakers in D.C. hold hearings on DOMA repeal. Senator Al Franken catches one anti-gay mouthpiece in a bit of a deception. Marriages start in New York. August. Taking a cue from the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association endorses marriage equality. Signature gathering to repeal the anti-gay law in Maine begins. California hears oral arguments over releasing the tapes of the Prop 8 trial. The president of Chile proposes a civil unions bill, and a Scottish survey shows 61% of citizens support marriage. September. 8 premieres on Broadway on the same day that the federal district court orders the release of the tapes of the Prop 8 trial. Those tapes still haven't been made public since the Prop 8 proponents immediately appealed. The governor of Maryland promises a marriage bill in 2012. Uruguay introduces a marriage bill with a vote expected in 2012. DOMA repeal gets its first Republican co-sponsor. October.
Equality California announces that it won't pursue Prop 8 repeal at the ballot in 2012 since it would be prohibitively expensive. There's already a lot of other marriage fights around the country in 2012, and the polling is still very close in California. Within a few days, Equality California's executive director resigns. Another national survey shows more people favor marriage equality than oppose it, and the Service Members Legal Defense Network files a lawsuit over DOMA since it unfairly harms military families. John Boehner allocates another $1 million to defend the anti-gay law. New Hampshire's Senate Judiciary Committee passes a law to strip away both marriage and civil unions. November. Dozens of major employers and professional organizations oppose DOMA. The Senate Judiciary Committee passes DOMA repeal. Washington announces a marriage bill for 2012, but Oregon decides not to go back to the ballot to repeal its anti-gay laws. Instead, they'll pursue a public education campaign. The California Supreme Court advances the Prop 8 case after a nearly year-long delay. A New Jersey lawmaker tries to introduce a marriage bill during the lame duck session. He's ultimately unsuccessful. December. The Australian Labour Party adds marriage equality to the party platform despite the best efforts of the anti-gay Prime Minister, while Nigeria's Senate approves harsh penalties for anyone involved with marriage equality. Back in the U.S., a third of the Senate now supports DOMA repeal. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals hears arguments of the Prop 8 case with the ruling expected early in 2012. Equality California starts staffing up with an eye towards legislation and education in 2012. And that was 2011. Some bad news, but also a lot more good news.
So yeah, wow, all that in 1 year. So where's our attention going to be in the next year? First, Perry v. Brown. It's the Prop 8 case, and we're expecting a ruling any day from the appellate court. And then it's full steam ahead to the U.S. Supreme Court. Then there's going to be a lot of big election fights in a bunch of states. And don't forget, we're also going to be in the middle of a presidential campaign. Minnesota, North Carolina, and Maine are the states to watch as we approach November. And then there's the legislative fights. Lawmakers are expected to tussle over marriage or civil unions in Colorado, Washington State, Maryland, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And then there's public outreach campaigns, which are going to happen in just about every state, but particularly Oregon, California, and Ohio. And don't forget about the DOMA lawsuits. There's nearly a dozen suits challenging the federal marriage ban, and although their progress has been slow and their trajectory hard to predict, they'll all make advances over the next year. And, of course, the big national question is Obama. What's he gonna do? A lot of smart people say that he's gonna come out for marriage equality, and a lot of other smart people say, maybe. Internationally, keep your eyes on Scotland, Ireland, and England, France, Uruguay, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, and Australia. They all show signs of progress in the coming year, but things could get worse in Spain and Nigeria. It is amazing how much is happening and how quickly. This is an incredible time to be alive and fighting for our rights, and it's all happening because of you. Every time you have a conversation about marriage equality, committed couples who just want to spend our lives together, you win more people over to our side. There have been setbacks, but on balance, we're gaining momentum every single day. And it's so easy for you to play your part in all this. All you have to do is spread the word. Like this video, post it with a comment, spread it around, make sure all your friends and family see it, and then talk about it with them afterwards. Every conversation gets us closer. I'm Matt Baum, and I would really like to get married, and so would a lot of other people you know. So let's make it happen. Here we go, 2012.